First of all, thank you for joining this talk. Thank you also for... Allá. Sí, aquí. Good. And thank you also for the organization for such an amazing event and giving me the opportunity to be here today. I'm going to talk about turning leadership around. It's a small piece of Agile transformations, but I think it's worth sharing with you our journey last year. I would like to start with this picture. I guess you're more or less familiar with Hackas. This picture was taken 1 year after our journey that started more or less May last year. And these are the real heroes of the story I'm going to share. It's not about me. I'm just here to talk about this, but these are the real heroes, the ones that suffered really this journey, that really fall down, that stood up, keep on walking, that learned, and just built the story of this transformation. And I would like to start asking you, looking at this picture, do you know which are the leaders of this team? Can you find them? Can you try to find out who are the leaders? We will come back later in the end of the presentation, okay? So, who we are? I work for Roche Diagnostics, that's a pharma company based in Switzerland. My department is Common Assets, and it's a department basically that produces software components for basically diagnostic instruments and IT solutions that go into the labs and health centers, okay? So it's a software department. We are around 200 people, organized in 18 software teams. And we are split between these two sites, Switzerland and Spain. And we have 18 stakeholders in the organization. We talk about the stakeholders because in the end we produce assets for internal R&D departments. And you know, it's quite a big team, but at the same time, it's quite complex ecosystem just to prioritize the work we are delivering. Because you have 18 different customers just consuming your products in parallel. And that's quite complex to manage. And then we had the challenge, scaling. Because we were bigger and bigger every time, and we reached the moment where we just realized that we are not ready to grow up in the way we are doing right now. We just took our organization to the limit. And at the same time, we didn't have a fully committed people in our organization. We missed some really motivation, intrinsic motivation to really do the job they were doing. So this is quite pattern you find in some big companies after a while running. So we needed to look into this and fix this problem. And yes, this was our aspiration when we started to change things. This is more or less the leadership team. It's a very heavy structure. And we wanted to be in the back of the people. We wanted to make sure people, this is in the front, which is leading really their decisions. And we wanted to be in the back, really helping them. And that was basically how the success looked like for us. But this was the reality. The reality is that we were in the front, on command control mode, just giving the instructions, clear, very, very, very well-structured instructions on what they needed to do. These people needed simply to be good followers. They just were following very well all the mandates that were coming from the top. But these had problems, really serious problems. So this was our journey. We set some foundations. And you will talk about these foundations because any change needs to start just getting a clarity, reality on what is the problem and really the right alignment in everyone to make it successful. We enabled the structure, we built capabilities, we're implementing the change, and now we are learning. I say learning because this is not about a success story. We didn't succeed. We learned. I'm going to share what went well, what didn't go so well, and where are we now. Foundations. No, sorry, it's missing one slide here. Foundation, one. Well, sorry, there's a mistake. Okay, anyways, just before starting, what's the common problem we find in organizations? It's about basically the people, when takes decisions, it's how these decisions are taken. Usually everyone in their job every day takes many, many decisions. With hierarchical structures, these decisions really takes a lot of time to flow, okay? And that's the truth. So basically, when you have a software engineer needs to buy a tool about performance because the performance is not working well. Usually, what happens? They need to figure out which tool to pick up, which is the technical reasoning for this, and then ask for money. And then they need to go up, I need this, and this level up needs to figure out what is the rationale to buy this, and then goes up to the people that manage the money. And then they say, I don't understand why, or I don't have money. And then this goes down, and it's more data, and this goes down. And all the data is going up to the top levels to decide. And this is a big effort. Reporting, just preparing information. Where was the information about the decision? On the bottom. Which were the constraints for taking the decision? On the top. It's easier to bring the constraints to the bottom rather than bringing the bottom information to the top to decide, right? So it's more or less about this, about to change the way the organizations decide. Foundations for changing. First of all, if you want to change organization, you need to start preparing the field, which means C-level commitment. This is not about we internally will change the way we work. This is about we are going to change the rules of the game. And this will impact departments that support you, stakeholders, customers, everyone. And there's no way back. Make it clear, this is not an attempt to, let's try this if it works. No, it's not this. The message is, there's only one way. And this way means everyone will change. People in the role want to stay in the same position. They will need to reinvent themselves, to act differently, to work differently. Many people will change their job descriptions. And also, we will annoy a little bit the others, because the rules of the game are going to change. The way we deliver will change. Customers are used to basically have certain level of interaction with us. And this interaction will change. So make it clear from the very beginning. This is why we are changing. These are the problems we want to fix. But this doesn't come by free. The rules are going to change from now on. And you get the buy-in. If they just really follow your problems, they will go with you in the change. So make sure you communicate properly before starting the journey, and you get the right buy-in from everyone. And set clear boundaries expectations. So yes, this change is going to be about this, but not about this. You will expect in 2 years, 3 years' time to improve this, but don't expect this. So be very clear and transparent on the attempt. No, don't try to oversell. Try to be honest. What else? Changing together. Yes, when we started, the first attempt was, okay, let's write the new structure, the new way of working, the new interactions, and then we give it to the people and they start running it. That doesn't work. Doesn't work. So involve the people from the minute zero. Minute zero means the minute when you say, this is not working. What is not working, if you just look at this from the leadership team, you have one part of the picture. To have the full picture, you need to make sure you incorporate the problems seen from other sides of your organization. People, stakeholders, etc. So just try to, from the minute zero, involve everyone in this transformation. Empower. What does it mean? So once you really, as leadership team says, we want to fix this, this, and this to become an organization like this one, okay? Then, how to go there, we don't decide. People decides. Because people bite in the problems, and then they are involved in the design of the solution. And design of the solution, yes, it's also about line structures. Who is going to be the leader in the new structure? Who is not going to be the leader anymore? So which are the new roles? Which is the new organization? And something you're learning from our side. Just pick up in your organization these early adopters of the changes. These people that have energy to move things forward. And also those that maybe they are not aware, but are highly influencers on their environments. And take some hater in the room as well, because these people will make you better, okay? But it's different if the haters are just fighting for the same you're fighting, or fighting for something completely different. So be brave, take them as well. Maybe not take all of them, but few of them will make you succeed as well. And with this, work together on what needs to be changed. And empower means you will decide, and we will together decide on what's the next step. And we will try this, and we will make it, and we will do it, and we empower them to decide and try. And yes, we take the action together. It's never more about you and me. It's not the LT decided, I need to do it from now on. It's we decided we need to enter there. Start with the conversations on the people, saying how I want to be involved in this new journey. Because remember, there's no way back. And if you cannot stay observing this, because everyone needs to change to make it succeed. And communicate, communicate, communicate. And that's very important, because communication, especially in the why we need to change, should be done frequently, constantly, and also from different voices in the room. So this empowered transformation team communicated as much as the leadership team about the why we need to change. And do it constantly. And also in the communication, communicate every step. Even those steps that still have a lot of uncertainty around, this also needs to be shared. And be honest with the people, yes, we don't have this answer yet. And maybe you can help me in find out the answer for this question. Because people sometimes tend to want to understand all the details from the very beginning of how the future will look like. And there, the exercise is, I communicate the steps, but I will be honest with you on what still is not clear. And this is where we need to build together the new structures. Devils advocate with authority. Third foundation. And this, for us, I need to say, was a youth exercise. At the same time, was not funny. I can tell you. So take someone, an expert person from the outside, that really allows you to look yourself in front of the mirror and see what's not going well in the field, in the day-to-day, in the behaviors, in the people. Acting like evil for you. Because when you're in an organization for a long time, it's difficult to look holistically all the situation. So you need to take someone that helps you in looking at the real problems, that puts the finger in the eye on the real issues in your structure. And also, leadership team. I need to tell this evil started from the top. Say, guys, you are not leading well your organization. And be ready for this. And that's the starting point. And empower this person to go to each corner of your organization and challenge the people and just force them to make the change. And delegate this power to this person as well. And take them a journey for a while. Don't think this person will end up after 1 month. He's going to just wait with you, at least in the initial phase of your journey. For us, it's 1 year, more or less. And then we check the organization. And yes, this is the reality check. This is the problem we found out. Of course, we are quite big organization. And you can just figure out many of the aspects comes from many years working in the same way. You can see here productivity. That happens with big organizations, the feeling of lack of productivity. And then about structures, complaints about we are not agile, we are rigid, we basically, our releases are long, our way of deciding is really too long, and we have silos, complexity managed for the top, insufficient quality, and the most common comment from the top. These people doesn't have sense of urgency. That's typical. So that was the reality check, and that incorporates, let's say, views from everyone. And then we go to this. Then decision makers, what I was talking to you before. This phase usually takes up to 6 weeks. When every engineer, for example, a team says, we are not enough, we need another, I don't know, a tester in the team because the quality is not good enough. How long it takes for us to really bring this answer to this guy in organization? It takes time, a lot of time. So, how empowered do you feel this guy is on all the process of taking decisions in big organizations? Few, right? Why is few? Because he needs something for doing better his job, but he doesn't have the capacity to decide on this. But others decide on this. So the effort that this guy needs to do every day to make decisions that affect to their daily job is huge. So they don't feel power. They don't feel they have the key to change things, to really make things happen. And also, it goes into a feeling of basically not motivated organization. Easy, how to change it? Let's remove hierarchies. That sounds good, right? We just remove the ties in your organization. Maybe you need to keep one. Okay. But then all the ties are just merged with the people, horizontal structures. Now we don't have levels. Now it's easier to take decisions because decisions are closer where the information is and where the people is. And that looks nice, right? But how to make it happen? So it's not just, look, now you are everyone at the same level. Now you are self-organized. Go ahead. That doesn't work. So yes, if you go into this transformation, you need to be ready also to give control. Managers usually feel good when they have power. Power means I take the decisions. But now this is about changing this mindset. Now we don't take the decisions. We want them to take the decisions. So this means we need to give control to the people and deciding on topics we were deciding in the past. This control, if you give it, you need to do it with some tools to really make it work. One is the clarity. Yes, your level, in the level you are, usually you see information and you see the constraints on the decisions. And also, it's about which is the direction we need to take in our organization. So this is the future we need to go, or this we need to go into that direction. This is clarity, and this needs to be shared with the people all the time. And together with the clarity goes the competence. Just prepare your people to decide on topics they are not used to, okay? And this is time, and this is work. And I want to be honest, this is not built in 2 months. This is the hardest part of the transformation. But this is about trusting people and create leaders. And here is where the game starts, creating these new leaders. Competence and clarity and control. This is the question, okay, right? What happens if we start just transforming the organization and we give all the control to our people? What will happen? They won't be able to take this control. So it will be quite a mess. On the other side, this direction is quite different. You basically give control by the time you just feel ready to give clarity and to build the competence in your people. And this is the journey about. This is about trying to grow up in this curve in your organization. Let's go a little bit more in details. What does it mean that basically you empower your people? Basically, in terms of clarity, you will have your delivery organization, which is basically the people is working in a single value stream. I don't know, Agile release train, because if you are familiar with SAFe, this would be more or less the wording. Product, anything you want to say. For us, it was an Agile release train because we use that framework as a reference framework SAFe. But doesn't matter, your delivery stream. And this is about product road mapping. Who is deciding on the roadmap? The same train. The same train needs to decide. Budgets, organization, and delivery and commitments. Who is committing? You will hear many times in Agile, is the team committing? It's not the top management. This should come from here. And just you need to bring clarity in order to make these decisions as better as possible. But you don't take these decisions. The trains do it, the value streams. And then we have the competence, how to build competence in the organizations. And building competence is about creating structures that permanently work in this. If you just have this structure in your organization about delivery, this will always be more urgent than building competencies. So this will reduce priority, and you will end up not building this competence. And you know what happens if you don't have competent people? You didn't manage to transform the organization. So, what means competence? What things we were decided from the top, and we transferred it to the people? Recruitment and development. Who better can recruit a workmate in the organization? The same colleagues. They know what is missing in that team. They know who they want to work with. They know what complements their teams. Evaluation, performance evaluation, big topic, right? Who is evaluating the people? Usually from the top, right? Then we are experiencing here, I tell you, we are in the journey. We didn't change drastically, but we are making some attempts here. Who decides on promotions? Who decides on the performance of the people? The same people. Training conferences, very common. I want to go to a conference. It's in the States. It's going to be 1 week. Can I go? Why I need to decide on this? Empower your people to decide on their own if they can go or not. Or maybe ask the team, check if you're just making good use of the budget on top of others. Just get the approval from your people. Don't ask me, okay? Organizational thinking, decide yourselves how you need to be organized. Ways of working, quality principles, holidays. Can I go on holidays next week? Tell me. I don't want to decide for you. Who is committing is you, in your team. You decide on this. That's probably the big change we did. Is just prepare the people to decide on everything we were deciding in the past. How is this new setup to enable this in the organization? It's like this. So it's like a matrix. We have, from one side, these value streams, which are the agile release streams. And this is where the people is assigned it, and where they spend really the effort in every day-to-day. Where they are coding, where they are designing the product, where they are validating and learning on the field, okay? The trains. And yes, but how you just make your people competent to do the work and to decide differently than before. Because you build capabilities. And capabilities are structures that group the people depending on the role. This is how we designed it. said, you need to make transformation yours. So we took SAFE, and we just looked ourselves, and we came up with this proposal. I tell you, this proposal initially had 2 more capabilities, and we merged them, because we learned. So don't be afraid of learning. In 1 year, we already changed it twice, this setup, because we were learning. But this is how it is right now, more or less. We have delivery, which is Scrum Masters and RTs, Scrum of Scrums, however you want to say. Product and portfolio people just focus on the content, on the what we are doing. Software engineering, the ones really doing the job. And then architects, some sort of enterprise level, it's also needed in our organization. Maybe others don't need it, okay? So this is how we were structuring, and these capabilities were composed by all the members that self-organize to really build this competence inside. Sometimes they need help from the outside, other times they just learn from each other, and they build the basics inside. Looks good, right? Looks it may work. It never works. So everything, when it's on the paper, it's a nice plan. But then when you run it, the first that happens is this. You get punched on the mouth. Reactions, just a minute after. This one. Maybe some of you already thought on this one when I was explaining. I want to code. I just came here to code. I don't want to take care of all this stuff. This is management. They need to do it, right? Someone else will do it. Why I need to work on recruiting? I want to code. Others shall do it for me. Why should we do this? It's their job. It's about the starting still this mindset of we, of you, me. This is very negative. This needs to be changed. I don't have time for this. I have other most important things to do. Okay? This is engineers, and this is the managers. Okay? And yes, managers say, now you're empowered. Why you don't take this? Why you're not taking this? And also, little bit, it's like challenging the people on their complaints. And also it's about this fear of losing power, because we were losing power. And yes, and then, trata de arrancarlo. We needed to have an honest look here. Of course, we could say, okay, let's go back. Was a trial, didn't work. We go back to the initial. But that was not the plan, remember. So let's take a look. What is not working? The plan was not that bad. Maybe we failed in some execution sites. Let's look into this. Clarity, intention. The LT, the leadership teams in the organizations, are used to take decisions on their own. So they are not so much good and maybe giving the clarity to others to take the decisions. So that was a learning. We needed to learn about this clarity, how to just be in front of the people and just bringing this guidance they needed to take their decisions, and how to empower them to take this clarity to really decide on their own. And also reinforcing them the mindset of try, fail, build, try, fail. This is about trusting. And this was the exercise we needed to do as leadership team. Capability members don't have the skills. At the very beginning, this is the case. They didn't basically do this for years. They were not basically trained to do this. So this is a learning curve, and we need to be aware of this. So build the competence, another thing. I will come to this later. Responsibility diffusion, that's a problem as well. Because when you have a team say, from now on, this capability will be responsible on all of this. Start doing it. But it's, for me, it was, I don't know, 60 people doing this. And then they don't know how to take this responsibility, how to organize themselves to really start running it. So we needed to just work on how to build this accountability on the people to take it. We will come to this. And mindset, mindset, mindset. In the end, it's very much about mindset. So The balance is important. The way basically you build these capabilities means the way you transfer responsibilities. Encourage your people. But this means is finding balance means just going to where the uncertainty is. So you need to change the concept of security. Get out of your comfort zone, try things. Because a transformation means everyone needs to change. You also need to change. So you need to pick up what from the change you want to focus on. And you don't need to pick up everything. But for example, in the capability, if you really like recruiting people, you want to be really close to there, take this track and lead this track with your people. But take something that motivates you. And just get out, try things. The first time you will feel you have no clue, but you keep on doing. And coach, coach, coach. Responsibility diffusion. This is another problem. If you want to fix it quickly, command control, but this is not the way we want to go. So what you need to do is sit down with the teams, elaborate your values, elaborate which are the rules of the game in this capability, how we will respect each other, what we expect from the others. Okay? Elaborate this together. Don't make it coming from the top. Work this with the team and review it frequently. And make sure this value we still are not living. Let's be honest. You need to work on this. Have these conversations. Deciding processes. So every time we get something, we need to see ourselves how we are going to organize, how we're going to self-assign things. Everyone needs to exit the room with a from some clarity on what we're going to do next. So be frequently, meet yourselves, and get some homework for the next meeting. And communicate, be transparent. In big organizations, decisions cannot be taken by everyone. So you will need to organize to select who is going to decide. And then you need to build on transparency and communication to ensure everyone feels involved in this decision. Behavior, celebrate the good behavior. This positive energy is what moves organization, okay? You need to specifically work on this. Recognize the ones that really are taking risks themselves, trying. For example, Wall of Fame. We have a big Wall of Fame in the office. Everyone can go there and put a post-it. Thank you for helping me on this. Thank you for this. Applauses program, or whatever you have in your organizations. And yes, recognitions. Recognize those that took risk and learned. Recognize those that put energy in the change and put a lot of effort there. And then learn continuously. These tools are not new for you. But there's something new. For example, this Gemba works. I don't know if you've heard about this. But this is this very hard thing of just going in a room, be on silence mode, observing the flow, not the people behavior, the flow of the meeting. Look where people is struggling more in the flow of the meeting, which is where the process is stopping. And then give this feedback and discuss this with the people. But it's silence, it's just observing. And then celebrate failures together and confidence votes. When we decide, we measure our confidence on this decision. If someone in the room between 1 and 5 votes a 2 or votes a 3, we don't exit the room. We sit down, we see where the non-confidence is coming from, and we look into this. And we decide what we need to do to increase the confidence. Otherwise, this commitment, it's not valid for us. You understand the point. You need to make sure everyone is involved in the decisions. And finally, coach. And not coaching from leaders to the people. Everyone should act in coaching. Because coaching is the tool, is a very powerful tool to change people, to really make them fix personal goals, get out of the comfort zone, and try new things. And through coaching, you investigate other ways of solving the problems that usually in the traditional organization are very hard to find out. So coaching is options we have. Unless they may be crazy, but let's work on them. What options we have? Which ones we try? Let's measure constantly. And this is really quite a big dedication in the organization, coaching people to really be brave and do the steps. And just to end up, final slide, personal lessons. In the coaching exercise, you need to try to find intrinsic motivation of the people. It's really what moves the organization. If you force things to happen, it's really hard to move things. When you just work on the intrinsic motivation, the story is fully different. So dedicate time to this, to people. Address fears. In the end, the reactive people, basically the obstacles we find in the way of changing is usually coming from fears from the people. So don't hide them. Be open in talking about these fears with the people. What is the insecurity they feel? And try to talk on this to make sure they change the concept of security. Because unless they change it, they will not take risk, so nothing will change from the previous behaviors, because in the end, it's about behaviors. Decide and learn together. Put yourself at the same level. Sit down on the same table. Not levelings. Just if we fail, we fail. If we succeed, we succeed. It's not you and me, it's about us. And me also offer basically yourself as another member. So get coaching, get feedback, participate in the decisions, fail with them. Don't panic for this. We are leaders, but we are not perfect. So let's assume this. And something important, this new way of working. So I ask my coach, if I succeed, how is going to be my job in the future? Say, MJ, you will need to find another job, because you won't be needed anymore. If you manage to really make self-organized organization, all the leaders won't be needed that much. So get ready for this. And if you go back to the initial slide on my picture, the haka, and I was asking you what basically is, which are the leaders in this picture? And now probably you have the answer. And it really doesn't matter. This question has no sense. Everyone is a leader. Thank you. Do you have any question?
Hi. Can you hear me?
Yes.
We've been doing SAFE for a while, also in my company, and we're doing the big room planning with the voting at the end. And you mentioned if it's 1, 2, or 3, you stay there until we figure out how to make everybody 4 or 5. How do you deal with the peer pressure? Because we have people in the room that are the CEO of the company. We have people up there, and not everybody is willing to raise the hand, having the courage to say, I don't believe this is possible. So what ends up happening is that only 1 or 2 people might be courageous enough to do that, and after some discussion, it's hard for them to maintain their position. How do you deal with that?
Sometimes it's this business product, basically way of acting. It's about also, it's the same as leadership teams. Product owners tend to feel they really have the answers for everything, and that's not like this. So, regarding the direction of the product, people is deciding at the same level as the product owner. Product owner is holding most of the decisions there initially, but this is something shared with the members. So everyone really in the team needs to face the problem of the POs on their skin. This means if they go to a meeting with the stakeholders to face what is the reality there, you need to do it. The POs need to take the people to these meetings, feel the pain in their skin, and come back, and then think like the POs. If you just keep on having this separation between POs, development teams, Scrum Master, this is not helping. And sometimes the same exercise we did in the leadership team to really do the transformation need to happen in these value streams. So the decisions need to include everyone, but it's sharing the pains, sharing the constraints, and deciding all together based on this. So this same exercise needs to be repeated in these trains. And this means growing up the people. Say, guys, it's not you here expecting instructions and just blaming about them. I don't agree. It's the same approach. You come with me, you just look at the problems I'm facing, and we all together find the solutions. And we all together agree that if we fail, we will lose this customer. This customer is 20% of our incomes. This means we need to reduce 20%. But this is about the clarity. When we talk about clarity, it's not about leaders only. It's about, in these trains, the clarity needs to go until the bottom as well. And let's be honest with the rules of the games. We all fail, we all succeed. We don't differentiate product, development, never more. This is the change about also in these arts.
Hello. Here my question is, in the slide you were showing the two different trains. You were also grouping a little bit the different capacities. So more on delivery, I guess it was, engineering and product, that one. Especially in big organizations, even there are different teams, squads, call it whatever you want. Still there are these joint goal. At the end, we are all in the same company. We have a main goal. We want to go there. So somehow there should be also, or usually happens, alignment across these different capacities.
Yeah.
On your experience, how did you manage this? There is any kind of way of organizing, structuring these transversal responsibilities?
Yeah. So maybe it's not here because it's too much detailed, but we had structure on top, which is we have like the leadership team that it's like the enterprise level of the organization, taking decisions at enterprise level. And then we have a structure that's portfolio committee. The portfolio committee is about this value streams direction. So they are deciding really, they're looking front 2-3 years to look what's the direction we want to take. And if we need to change a little bit the direction, this is where these discussions happens. And I tell you, these leadership team meetings and these portfolio committees are participated by the product managers, the release train engineers, and the architects in many times. Because this basically definition of direction, we don't do it on our own. We do it in big conversations with these guys. And they, let's say 50% of the meetings we do in the portfolio committees are participated by the roles. They come, the PMs, to us because they have the reality on their value streams and say, okay, now the direction needs to go there because this is the reality. And then we take a decision all together. And then they go back to their value streams, to the Agile trains, and they transfer this vision into how the art needs to react. And they decide what teams need to stop activity, what teams need to start activity, how basically the impact on the budget, so on. So yes, there's a structure on top that here is not drawn, that it's about running the enterprise and the portfolio. This is the implementation of SAFE we did. You will find different solutions in different organizations, but this is how we ran it. Is this answering your question?
Yeah. Somehow, yes. My question was more also inside the train. I guess there are different teams also in the same
you have,
train. So
according to SAFE, you have this program team composed by Scrum of Scrums, which is the RT, the PM, the architect. And these people is really running the art. But hierarchically speaking, these people is at the same level as the teams. We don't have hierarchies. That's the nice thing here. And yes, these people is involving the teams in deciding the direction of the train. And this is their job, mainly. It's the same we are doing with the organization, they are doing internally in the arts. And if there's a reorganization, for example, now we are reorganizing some arts, some trades, and this is a workshop altogether. These are the problems, how we reorganize ourselves to face these problems. And it's not the program team deciding, it's everyone there. And the decisions should involve the right levels just to create the same behavior. Yes, I think we are running out of time. So thank you very much, and have a good day.